This video may go over some unsettling topics that aren't suitable for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. This video is a sequel to our last video about psychological horror games. If you haven't watched that video, please check it out right after watching this one. Smiley face? I don't really know what to call this one. The story follows Thomas, a character navigating a bizarre, oversaturated world filled with eerie Hong Kong 97 music. From the very start, the game sets a tone that's equally unsettling and intriguing, pulling players to a narrative that feels like a mix of exploration, psychological horror, and introspection. The game begins in Thomas's room, where players are introduced to the oddities of this world. A talking flower asks for seeds, and a cat painting on the wall acts as a portal, teleporting Thomas to a place called Cats. After finding the house key, Thomas steps outside, where the real adventure begins. Outside the house, a forked path stretches into the distance, but Thomas refuses to move forward without his medication. This small detail hints at a deeper struggle, one that becomes clearer as players interact with the environment. Flame Guy, an NPC, denies having the meds, while Zachary cryptically suggests that stopping the medication will reveal the quote-unquote real world. Eventually, Thomas finds the meds hidden behind a tree, but taking them doesn't bring relief. Instead, it warps the world around him, teleporting to a disordered place called O_O. O_O. The meds plunge Thomas into a disorienting version of reality. The world feels off, like a glitchy dream, and before he can make sense of it, he's transported again. This time to Sad Face, a dim, blue-toned area filled with sad flowers and eerie pictures. Behind the house, a sparkling flower acts as a gateway to hallucinations, pulling Thomas deeper into his own mind. Sad Face. In this dark moonlit area, Thomas finds himself standing at a grave marked with the Flame Guy family photo. It hints at a tragedy Thomas can't quite remember. Hidden spawns lead to hallucinations, where messages pleading for forgiveness suggest Thomas is grappling with guilt over something terrible. The narrative begins to reveal itself, a dark and painful memory. Hallucinations. Thomas's hallucinations grow more intense, each one more unsettling than the last. A glowing figure appears, asking Thomas questions, including if he's taken his meds, telling him he's hallucinating, and most importantly, if Thomas remembers the incident. Then, a spinning cylinder acts as a portal, teleporting Thomas to Spawn, where the story takes another turn. Spawn and Cave. In Spawn, Thomas takes on the appearance of a guest avatar, as if he's lost his identity. NPCs guide him to a foggy cave, where two paths diverge. Lost in this foggy world, Thomas sits with an NPC, who asks him about recalling the cave. This takes Thomas back home, where he goes into a corner and then through a wall which takes him to a dark cave, crashing the game after revealing a missing poster for Flame Guy Jr. The other path leads to a figure holding Thomas's meds, teleporting him to happy. This area is a disorienting, looping maze designed to overwhelm the player. Text appears declaring, "No one will forgive you, Thomas," driving home the themes of guilt and isolation. The maze feels like a metaphor for Thomas's internal struggle, trapping him in a cycle of infinite despair. Real quick, if you like straight to the point content all around Roblox in bite-sized explanations, make sure you subscribe to the channel as we cover topics just like this every so often. Let him go. You play as Broken Spawn, grappling with the pain of losing a meaningful friendship. The story begins with a devastating cutscene where you surprise Fire Ring with a hug, only to be pushed away. His rejection sparks the friendship he once had. Starting in your home, you're surrounded by memories of Fire Ring, photos, objects, and moments that highlight your deep connection and heartbreak. Outside, billboards urge you to get a job, subtly reflecting the societal pressure and Fire Ring's lingering presence in your thoughts. Exploring further, you encounter a trampoline in Barry's bar, taking you back to the good old days, the better times. At the bar, Barry notices your distress, but the faceless crowd overwhelms you, mirroring your emotional detachment. Retreating your home, you fall asleep, seeking solace. Your dreams are gray and haunting. Broken Spawn now turns into Martha's Spawn as tears stream down your face. A mysterious gray figure in a suit watches from afar. You follow your inner voice to a sunset path, where Fire Ring dismisses you again, urging you to give up. You wake, shaken and disheartened. Walking through town, you revisit memories of Fire Ring breaking promises. At Walmart, a rude cashier pushes you further into despair. At night, the nightmare returns. At a party celebrating Fire Ring, he greets you only to cruelly dismiss you again. The partygoers' faces twist sinisterly as they close you in. You wake, drenched in fear. The cycle of rejection and nightmares takes its toll. Fire Ring appears at your door in a dream, apologizing, only to end your life, snapping your neck. Waking again, you feel a dark smile creeping across your face. Losing control, you walk into traffic, ending your life. Firing, now grieving, realizes too late the impact of his actions. That was just one of the endings, but there's another one to come with it. You see, there's an alternative ending that emerges in the first dream. Instead of pursuing Firing, you fall to a lower platform and meet Nuntexture, a gray figure in a tie. He tells you, let him go, this isn't real, but you can move on. With his guidance, you confront Firing again, but this time you choose yourself over lingering pain. Listening to Nuntexture, you avoid toxic patterns and stop answering Firing's knocks in later dreams. Nuntexture embraces you with care, helping you release your sorrow. When you wake, the photo of you and Firing is gone. You've let go of the pain and you're ready to seek happiness and healing. Egg Kevin's house. Other than you, Sam, Kevin is the main character of the Roblox short horror game Egg Kevin's House. Ironically, he isn't seen as the good guy in the story, he's actually a bully in your school. Kevin was a student at the same school you and Billy attended. One day, Kevin got Billy into trouble at school, prompting Billy to convince you to throw eggs at Kevin's house in retaliation. However, an egg accidentally knocked over a candle near a window, setting the house on fire and unaliving Kevin's mother. 20 years later, Kevin seeks revenge against you and Billy for the fire and his mother's death. Despite his efforts, he fails to achieve his goal after you both escape. Depending on your choices, Kevin is either unalived or spared. If spared, he promises revenge another day. 2 decades later, Kevin kidnaps Steven, one of your friends, and locks him in his basement. You and Billy both notice Steven's headphones on the ground, but before you can react, Kevin knocks you out. In the basement, Kevin explains his actions, revealing that he is seeking revenge for his mother's death. To complete his revenge, Kevin sets his own basement on fire. It is at this point that you decide the fate of the ending. Pacifist ending. If you spare Kevin after freeing Billy, he tells you and Billy that he may have failed this time, but vows to unalive you both one day, claiming justice will eventually be served. Warmonger ending. If you unalive Kevin and leave Billy to burn, the authorities pursue you for the murders of both your friends. Team Kevin ending. If you fail to rescue Billy from the fire and wait for the screen to go black, the authorities will pursue you. Team Billy ending. You rescue Billy, and after Kevin says that he will try and plan to unalive both of you, you unalive Kevin before he does anything. Rescued ending. You initially don't help Billy egg Kevin's house, and bro just straight up hits the aw shucks right in front of you. By the end, if you stay in the basement and you don't save yourself nor Billy, you are then transported to the hospital. A nurse tells you that someone had dropped you off, someone with a burn mark on their face, who apparently was in a hurry. They dropped off an audio tape and gave it to you. It's Kevin. He saved you from the fire, but why? It wouldn't have been fair to let you be unalive to something Billy caused. He then states that he didn't let Billy live and that he left him burnt to a crisp. He also states that Steven is no longer in the basement and may have escaped, but chances are he is also unalive. Kevin concludes the tape by saying that he will never be seen again and that you shouldn't look for him, and he wants to live his life fulfilled now that Billy, the monster he calls him, is gone. Perish ending. The opposite of the rescued ending. You initially help Billy egg Kevin's house. In the ending, you stay in the basement until the screen turns black once again. Because you wanted to help Billy and knew what he was doing, Kevin doesn't rescue you. Instead, he leaves you to perish, to burn with the school bully. Daisy's House is a bait and switch horror game with an unsettling narrative filled with dark secrets and horrifying twists. We can explore various rooms inside the house, including Daisy's attic bedroom, which appears normal at first until we interact with a bottle of pills, where we witness a strange birthday party for Daisy. The guest's obsessive repetition of stay, stay, stay creates an unsettling atmosphere. Speaking to Iris reveals shocking truths. Daisy is described as the devil, seeing everyone as mere toys to be trapped forever within the game. When we refuse to stay, Daisy reacts violently, completely breaking down. By jumping off the map, we enter an alternate upside-down version of the house, where photographs serve as portals to different experiences that piece together Daisy's tragic past. One of these is Mom, which places us in Daisy's shoes, showing her traumatic struggles. The house is gloomy and dark, and her mother is abusive and neglectful, blaming Daisy for her misfortunes. Scattered notes reveal Daisy's desire to create a Roblox game inspired by her traumatic experiences. Moving forward, the game It Was So Cold introduces a shadowy figure known as the Cultivator. He offers Daisy an apple as a way out of her miserable life, a world where she has full control, but only if she eats the apple. Facing the harsh cold, Daisy accepts, realizing that she has nothing to lose at this point. She essentially sells her soul in exchange for godlike powers, allowing her to create the world of Daisy's house. Exploring further reveals a funeral scene and idle chatter, where people discuss Daisy's fate in a church. She believes it would have been her real funeral had her body ever been found or if her mother had cared. A casket reveals the corpse of Anna, Daisy's actual name before the cultivator transformed her. In pushing daisies, she stands at her own grave, reflecting on her existence. Eventually, we encounter the cultivator himself, who now addresses Daisy with a tone of authority and condescension, no longer pretending to be kind. He dismisses her past pain, insisting he must abandon her human emotions since she has ascended past her human self. It becomes clear that he manipulated her into taking his deal, and his true nature is far from kind. As the game progresses, we witness Daisy's mental decline. A Generation Lost features a bathroom mirror covered in post-it notes that start with positive affirmations but gradually turn into self-loathing messages, including fears of the cultivator's wrath. The stress of her godlike powers combined with the pressure of the cultivator causes her to lose her sanity. In Hunger, Daisy goes on a murder spree, eliminating NPCs she created, further showing her descent into madness. You Make a Fine Puppet presents a horrifying scene where a giant Daisy looms over the house, surrounded by corpses, revealing that she disposes of her own creations when they bore her. As foreshadowed by Iris, Daisy sees people as mere playthings. Cultivator's Void suggests an even deeper connection between Daisy's mother and the cultivator, possibly hinting that the cultivator could be Daisy's true father. Why Me? It's an emotional Roblox game that explores themes of sadness, loss, and the importance of human connections. As you enter the game, you're greeted with a reassuring message, reminding you that you're not alone and that life is worth fighting for, even in tough times. The gameplay consists of traversing platforms while receiving messages of comfort, urging you to think about the good things in life. A sad-faced sun and a melancholic atmosphere set the tone. Eventually, you meet a character who offers a hug. Sometimes, the simplest gestures can mean the most. In return, they give you a small red ball, a bright contrast in the otherwise grey world. Suddenly, everything changes. You wake up in a bleak, ghostly version of your town, realizing you've passed away. You're now a silent observer of the pain your absence has left behind. Your mother is heartbroken, clutching a teddy bear you once loved, longing for just one more moment with you. Your best friend stands at the lemonade stand you both cherished, wishing they could hear your laughter just one last time. Your father reminisces about the camping trips you shared, struggling with the deafening sounds left in your absence. Your younger brother sits alone on the playground swing, remembering how you always pushed him higher, making him feel like he could fly. Now, without you, he feels grounded, lost, and alone. Even a shopkeeper, someone you might have only exchanged one small conversation with, feels the weight of your absence, realizing how much your presence brightens their day. Your grandparents sit in sorrow, recalling the joy you once brought into their home. Even the smallest interactions with people, whether family, friends, or strangers, leaving lasting marks, and your loss has left a void in so many lives. As you explore this ghostly world, you eventually find your own lifeless body, a stark reminder of the irreversible decision that led to this moment. Yet, amidst the sorrow, there is a flicker of hope. The relief is overwhelming. Your mother, your best friend, your family, and even the shopkeeper, everyone is smiling. They're happy that you are still here. Repleh County Archives is a two-part horror series on Roblox developed by Ignited Softworks. The game's title itself is a play on words, as Repleh is helper spelled backwards, potentially referencing elements from a stereotypical obby. Set on July 12, 2003, at 7:45 p.m. in Repleh County, the player assumes the role of a teenager who awakens to a knock on the door, discovering a hastily written note from their parents, stating they'll return at midnight to celebrate the protagonist's birthday with their sister. Left alone in the house, the player decides to tidy up the basement with 4 objects: a pillow, a helper plushie, a pizza box, and a Chinese noodle box. While cleaning, an emergency alert interrupts the television program, warning of nearby fugitives and advising residents to stay indoors. The player retrieves a police scanner and overhears fragmented communications between a man and a woman. Suddenly, gunshots echo outside. This is followed by another emergency alert claiming the previous warning was a hoax and there is no such thing as a Repleh County, perpetrated through Axiom virtual reality headsets. The alert instructs owners of such headsets to surrender them to a Central Task Force, or CTF. As the situation escalates, the house's lights fail and an intruder breaks in. The player hides a gun in a room, overhearing heavy masked breathing. After arming themselves, they attempt to clear the house but are ultimately confronted and unalived by the intruder, and the game ends. The narrative suggests that the CTF, possibly linked with Juxtaposed Technologies, the creator of the Axiom headsets, is conducting a recall under dubious pretenses. The events in Repleh County Archives appear to set the stage for the occurrences in a stereotypical obby, hinting at a broader conspiracy involving the headsets and the true nature of the CTF. If you guys want me to uncover the entire lore for this game, please let me know in the comments as I can make a full video documenting the entire game. Everything goes here in 1989. We begin in front of a monitor with a blue screen and no signal. Suddenly, what seems to be a liminal hallway camera pops up, with arrows going through multiple rooms leading to a message. This is the end from Dinara. Then, the screen shuts off. A terrifying face fades into sight. Hello. To the person seeing this, you have made a grave mistake. You are not supposed to see this. Choices has been made. Your chances of escaping are slim. You must complete your trial, and most importantly, survive till the end. The user is then prompted to select multiple doors to complete this trial in order to survive. However, after completing this trial, we notice that this is not the end. Yet. We are then prompted to another area, a dark apartment or house area near a train station and an office, as well as some other areas to follow. Suddenly, there are no more rooms to go through, and the monitor shuts off. The monitor then turns back on. Rockville PD, 1989 incident, self-immolation, Red Rum sewer slide. And yes, I am saying Red Rum and sewer slide simply because YouTube might take down the video just because I said these two words on screen. Anyway, the screen then describes the night of February 21st, 1989, where the Rockville Police Department were called to multiple noise complaints. Upon arriving at the residence of the Reynolds family, the officers came to the house engulfed in flames, with the entire family of 4 deceased from the fire, believed to not be an accident. Going through the rubble, the police were able to recover a VHS camera with a cassette tape. This tape showed that Kyle Reynolds burned the house down after being consumed with rage and malice. Dinara Reynolds, the wife of Kyle, had suffered from being harmed under the hands of Kyle, with their children crying out for help. Heavy breathing takes over. We need to act quickly and burn the house down. Going to the garage, we douse the house with gasoline and light it on fire, when all of a sudden, we are jump scared by this, with, let's say, Hangman right after. The game concludes. Madi's Wardrobe is a Roblox horror game inspired by Lacey's games. The creator of this game also created Life Purpose, which we covered in our last horror game video. While the original series delves into dark and unsettling themes like stalking, trauma, and exploitation, the game takes a more lighthearted yet still creepy approach, drawing inspiration from the first episode, Lacey's Wardrobe. We follow Madi as she investigates seemingly mundane activities like dressing for the park, interacting with others, and preparing for a date, all while unsettling and suspenseful events loom in the background. The game begins with players dressing Madi, selecting hairstyles, tops, trousers, and accessories. She heads to the park, where the atmosphere takes a sinister turn as it feels like someone is watching her. The game cleverly reflects real-life challenges women face, including being catcalled by boys and encountering judgmental stares from others. As Madi spends time at the park with her friends, the lighthearted tone is offset by underlying tension. This dynamic becomes more apparent with a mysterious phone call from a man who eagerly claims, "Madi, I can't wait to see you," hinting at the danger ahead. Later, Madi prepares for a date, but the stalker escalates his threats, building up to a suspenseful encounter. We then fend him off in an Undertale-style battle where options range from boxing moves to absurd distractions like Fortnite emotes. Eventually, Madi escapes and finds herself in a forest setting, a callback to an earlier scene where the game draws parallels between Madi and the vulnerable bunny being hunted by a predator. We then try to solve puzzles involving keys, shovels, and items like carrots to evade the man. The game builds tension as the stalker lurks nearby, with the player needing to look directly at him to make him disappear temporarily. After navigating the forest and unlocking a house for safety, Madi narrowly escapes the stalker with the help of a friend, avoiding the grim fate faced by Lacey in the original series. The game concludes with a reflective conversation with Madi and her friends, as Madi discusses the challenges of being a girl in a world filled with societal pressures and fears. She shares how being pretty often turns her life into a horror game, as unwanted attention and harassment from men make everyday moments feel unsafe. Are You Okay is a Roblox game by Damien Brotherhood. The creator for this game created Aiden's Life, which we've also covered in our last horror game video. Again, feel free to check it out after watching this video. The game's minimalist feeling fosters a calming environment, allowing us to engage with its emotional themes. You begin by standing in front of another Roblox character who asks, "Are you okay?" And you respond with, "Yeah." "Have you been crying?" "No." "Do you want to talk about it?" "No." "Do you want a hug?" "Yeah." The character climbs onto you, blurring the line between comforting and overwhelming. After this interaction, you gain control of your character and teleport to a new area called I Want to Talk to Someone. This space functions as a hangout server where players can interact with others to share their thoughts, feelings, or struggles. The game highlights the importance of reaching out and providing support to those who might be struggling. The bench seating and open world encourages players to sit, talk, and listen, reminding everyone of the value of connection in addressing their mental well-being. Are You Okay creates a safe space for self-reflection and interaction, emphasizing the importance of empathy and the power of simply being there for someone who might need a friend. The Maiden is one of the most unsettling games you'll encounter on Roblox. The chilling myth surrounding it tells of a ghostly woman who, if you're unfortunate enough to see her, is said to shorten your life. As you spawn in the gray house, the ambient hum in the background sends shivers down your spine, immediately setting the unsettling tone. The lack of color around you amplifies the feeling of dread. As you explore, you'll notice a rope hanging with a stool beneath it, a disturbing and eerie detail that makes the corner of the room incredibly unsettling. If you linger here too long, a distorted face might flash unexpectedly, making you jump if you're not prepared. When you move further into the house, you'll notice a room with nothing but a bathtub, no sink or toilet to indicate it's a proper bathroom. The liminal randomness of it feels off, and it might lead you to imagine darker themes, like its connection to, let's say, self-poking. Standing in certain corners of this room can trigger the appearance of ink on the ground and dark shadows accompanied by a strange, disturbing creature. The myth of the Maiden claims she is a pale, thin, ghostly figure with long, swinging arms. Players have reported a strange feeling while playing the game, and seeing her is said to bring psychological trauma. If she ever speaks to you, it's believed to be an omen that your death is near. If you guys want me to cover some of these games in much more detail, please let me know in the comments, as most of these are summed up quite a bit, so there are a lot of missing details. Also, if you want to be part of the discussion, be sure to join the Blox Explained Discord in the description. You can watch our last video here, and you can subscribe right here. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you back here soon.